Okay, we are live. Thank you for joining us here today for our live stream panel discussion. We are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. And those broadcasts will also be available afterwards on our YouTube channel, and they'll live on our Facebook page and also on our homepage of Eyecare Business as well. So this is the first panel discussion of the EB COVID-19 strategy series from Eyecare Business Magazine. I am Erinn Morgan. I am the editor-in-chief of Eyecare Business Magazine, and our panel today is called Leading Through Uncertainty. Our panel discussion will be on critical business strategies for eye care professionals in this crazy time during COVID-19. So I am super fortunate to be joined here today, and I'm very grateful to each of our panelists for taking the time to be here. And we have with us today Dr. Bridgitte Shen from Vision Optique in Houston. We have Dr. Eric White from It's Complete Family Vision Care in San Diego. Hello. And then we have Sheena Taff, who is an optician and optical manager for Robertson Brown Opticians in Vancouver, Canada. So we're kind of representing all over the country and up in Canada as well. And I am here streaming live from Colorado in the southwest corner of the state in Durango. So just a quick question for you all, how are you all doing? Okay, and your families are well? To all of our panelists here. Bridgitte, your family's doing okay, and you guys are in Houston, so you just had to stay at home.
Yeah, we are learning, adjusting, and trying to lead both at home in the community and for the practice.
That's fantastic. And for you, Sheena, are you also under stay-at-home order in Canada?
Not by order, but by advisement. So it's going to be 2 weeks tomorrow that my husband and I have been very diligently abiding by that and staying home.
That's great. And then Eric, you're in San Diego, and I know California was under a stay-at-home order.
Yes.
So that applies down there.
Yes, and we're doing we're doing good. I have 3 boys and all over the place. So we have I've never known so much as Zoom in my life, but we do Zoom family meetings once a week, and we're doing good. God is in control.
That's great.
Good.
That's great. Good to hear. I'm so grateful that everyone is doing well. And so our panel discussion today, in this series we're going to be doing every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time in April, throughout the month of April. And I'm sure we're probably going to be extending that into May as we move forward through this challenging time. And, for our viewers, and I can see we already have quite a few here, we know these are really challenging times for you and for your business. And it's completely uncharted territory. And that is, something that everyone here is dealing with. So we wanted to debut this series to really help our readers, to bring the discussion to the table, to talk about the daily challenges, the plans, the ideas for reopening when we do get to that point, to really share the knowledge base, all together, because obviously as an industry, as a community, as a profession, for opticians and optometrists, we're all stronger together. So yes, so thank you for joining us for this. And you know who our panelists are. So I'm going to go ahead right now. I just want to share some really brief information from a survey that we did at Eyecare Business. It ran last Monday. We closed it out Tuesday evening. And we had an unbelievable response to the survey. It was a COVID-19 and ECPs and how everyone's dealing and what their opinions are. So that ran last week. We have the information up on our site, eyecarebusiness.com. And we will be running this survey again, a second wave, this coming Monday and Tuesday. And we'll continue to do that throughout the next couple of weeks through the month. So I'm going to go kind of old school here, and I'm going to share, let's see if you guys can see this. So this first statistic is, has your office closed its doors temporarily? Now, bear in mind, this is last week. I know probably most of you have closed your doors. Most of you have, maybe some are staying open for urgent care, or kind of serious medical issues so that you can keep folks out of the emergency rooms and take the load off the hospitals. But what we have here, and I'll just go ahead and read it, is last week, have you closed your doors temporarily due to COVID-19? 57% of readers said yes. 33% said no. And let's see, 20% said considering to do so. So obviously everybody was kind of in a state of making those decisions last week. So the second statistic is your office currently open for patient visits, including exams and more critical care issues? Last week, 54% said no, only critical care patients. 24% no, we're just completely closed, not seeing any patients. And 9% said yes, we are seeing all patients open for regular eye exams. But bear in mind, again, this was a week and a half ago. 13% other just said, kind of figuring things out. When we asked about telehealth, which is obviously becoming a big topic of discussion now, do you currently or plan to offer telehealth services as an option for patients during this time? 31% said yes, 29% said no, 22% said considering or plan to do so, and 18% said not sure yet. So it'll be really telling to see how these numbers evolve and progress over time. Two more quick statistics, actually 3 more quick statistics I'll share with you. We asked, has your office sent out messaging to the patient base? And this one kind of surprised me because 67% said yes, almost 30% said no. So, and then actually it was yes, 67% said yes, and then another 30% plus said no. So, interesting that, there's an opportunity to connect with patients right now, and a lot of patients don't know what's going on. So hopefully, I imagine we'll see those numbers change. And then this is obviously a very telling statistic. Do you expect to experience a financial impact to your business due to COVID-19? And 79% said yes, expecting a significant impact to my business. 18% said yes, expecting some impact, and 2% said don't know yet. And then the last question we asked was, has your office temporarily laid off or let go of staff members due to the coronavirus pandemic? 38% said yes, 32% said no, 11% said considering or plan to do so, and 18% said don't know yet, it's too soon to tell. So, it's interesting. We're kind of, progressing through this and all navigating it together. But I wanted to share those statistics to kind of set the stage, as we move into our discussion here. So just so as our viewers know, we'll be running through a list of questions with our panelists. If you do have questions for them in the interim that relate to the specific questions we're asking, you can certainly type them in as comments on YouTube or Facebook. I will try to field them as we move along, but we will also have a dedicated Q&A section at the end of the panel discussion where you can just ask all the questions you have, and we can all discuss them through that time. So again, if you have questions, just post them in the comment section and they will pop up into our sidebar here, and we'll all be able to see them and who you are. So thank you again to our panelists. I'm going to move into our first question. And we'll start our first question alphabetical order. So we'll start with Bridgitte. So looking at the problem right now, so is your office, you're in Houston, you just went under stay-at-home order. Is your office currently closed, open in any manner, even for urgent care? Why was this the best choice for your business? And how long do you plan to operate in this state?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So Houston was under shelter-in or stay-home order from March 23rd through April 3rd. And yesterday, they released a new order, stay-at-home through April 30th. So my practice has been closed. Physical office is closed as of March 22nd. We spent the week of March 17th preparing for moving everything we can to virtual office. So we do have a virtual office open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. where one staff team is answering phone calls, taking contact lens orders, and a doctor, we have 3 doctors, 8 team members, and one of the doctors is on call with the staff. And we are doing telehealth consultation for any medical related questions, and for patients that we need to go into physical office to see, that's prearranged with the patient, with the mask, gloves, very strict disinfection, and it's only one-on-one.
That's great. So that's good to know. And so you were on kind of shelter in place order, you said, through the end of April.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That
Okay.
was announced yesterday, and the governor of Texas announced yesterday that all schools are closed through May 4th. And
Oh,
we
wow.
do have a governor's order on the medical, non-essential medical examinations. This applies to all doctors through April 21. That was issued mid-March, but I believe he may extend it at least through April 30th. So realistically, we're looking at reopening May 1, but that all depends on how many cases and how fast is it spreading and how well people are obeying the order, staying in, help to lower the incidence of COVID-19. So no one knows.
For sure. No one does know. And Sheena, up in Vancouver, Canada, where you are, what are you guys doing in your business? And what are the, kind of projections for how long businesses will be staying closed up there?
Tomorrow will mark 14 days that the doors have physically been closed to the office. For about a week prior to making the decision to close the doors altogether, we were taking appointments, which is not something we normally do for fittings or dispensings, but we were doing that in order to try and control the number of people in the store at once. And it was really the behavior that I was seeing and having a hard time even controlling the number of people when they were making appointments who were coming in. We deal with a lot of children. It happened to be spring break. So maybe only one child needed attention, but it was mom and brother and sister. And all of a sudden you're only taking what should be 2 patients at a time, but ended up being 6 or 8 people in the store. And especially with younger patients, it's hard to kind of control what everyone is touching and doing. And so it came to a point where I felt like I had to have someone watching every person on the floor to take any frame that they touched off the board for disinfecting afterwards. And it was hard to control people's behavior in the store because it's a place they're very familiar with. So we made the decision to keep everyone safe, to close the doors and change to kind of curbside pickup. My mail slot has become an incredible tool to work with patients, be on other sides of the glass.
That's great. So, and is in Canada, is it also all non-essential businesses are closed?
For the most part, yes, all non-essential businesses are closed. And at this current moment of time, they have extended it until mid-April. But I do think that will probably be extended beyond that date.
I see. Okay. So, and Eric, how are you guys doing down there? I know, what's the status with your practice there, and, what made you make those decisions?
Well, being in San Diego, we are under the shelter in place order, but I decided not to close my practice. We have a skeleton crew. We have 1 doctor in the office, Monday through Friday, reduced hours, and 2 staff. We keep the door locked. It's no walk-ins. We are not taking any routine eye exams, but we're there if patients need to order contacts or be seen for emergencies. There's signs on the door that we will, call us when you are in the parking lot, and we'll unlock the door and have you come in. We are limiting it to 1 person at a time. And, we're taking the positive of all this is the office is the cleanest it's been ever. I think that we say that for all of us, but we were cleaning constantly, and God willing, we're not going to run out of any of the supplies before this is over. But our plan, I want to be there for our patients. I want them to know we're there. We've been communicating with them, and I think it's really important. I was surprised with your survey, Erinn, because I think it's really important that we communicate with our patients. They're our family, and let them know what's going on. But I want them to know we're there for them. I pray that things are going to get back to normal on May 1st. Normal as normal can be, but at this point, I know it's May 1st is a Friday, so I'm thinking we just might stay this way until the Monday, and kind of start going from there. But we're just skeleton crew, and keeping really safe and and clean.
That's great. Well, and that actually brings up a good question, which I didn't have on the question list, but how did you communicate with patients? Did you send out an email to everyone?
I use Eyecare Pro, and we send email blasts out, letting them know. I put it on our website, and people, so people know exactly what is going on, and we direct them to the website. We keep the website changing, and making sure that they kind of know what's going on. But also on the website, and this is something I feel strong about, is I have my cell phone. And I tell them, if you need to get a hold of me, call me. And people don't abuse it. But if, I had a call a couple nights ago that, a patient woke up with blood red eyes and, just scared to death. And, we used telehealth to talk to her. And it was a subcons hemorrhage. But she was saying, she called her primary, and the primary says, "Oh, you need to go to the emergency room." She's 87 years old. It's COPD. Oh. It would have killed her. And so that's, so we do what we need, but communication is so important right now.
It really is. And it really feels like, optometrists really are on the front lines in a lot of ways to help keep people out of the ER and, approach these different issues, with telehealth. And also, I've been hearing too that pink eye is can be one of the first symptoms of coronavirus infection. So, that's another thing that, I know a lot of ODs are trying to diagnose, and kind of point patients in the right direction. So Bridgitte, how did you guys at Vision Optique communicate with your patients?
This is what we did. The week of March 10th, we sent out an email toward the end of that week, letting patients know that we are changing our policies or asking more questions, and all the red eye visit are to talk to the doctor before they come into the office because of the 2 published studies linking conjunctivitis, especially unilateral, to COVID-19. And the week of 17th, because I think the CDC recommendation came out March 18th. So we followed it the day after. So that Thursday, we sent out the second mass email to the entire patient database, letting them know that we are here for them. However, the office will be closed for 2 weeks based on that was before the Houston recommendation, because I've been following the data. Right. So it was my kind of like guess what the shelter-in dates would be. So that's an email letting patients know we're physically closed for 2 weeks. However, we are answering phone calls and will be ready for them virtually. So we spend the entire week figuring out how to do things virtually, transferring phone calls, setting up with the IT team, remote login to the EMR, and creating massive amount of documents in the Google Drive, so that what I did that entire week, I talked to every single staff and asked them to create, basically we rewrote the entire office menu of how to operate. How do you do your job if you have to do it tomorrow from your living room with a laptop? So we basically created this massive, so I'm kind of like the general, right? Have to make sure everything. And toward the end of the week, we had to test everything out. But what we did is the week of 17th, we canceled routine exams. It's just urgent care, but letting the patient know, hey, we're only physically open this week. Come pick up your glasses, your contact lens, whatever it is that you need to do. So it was a lot of preparation, and now we have to figure out what to do next because we can't open for the month of April.
Right.
So stage 2.
Stage 2, it's day by day or hour by hour at this point. So Sheena, what about you folks, with your business? Did you reach out to your patient base, customer base?
We did, absolutely. So the first thing I did was essentially create a statement of what was going to transpire. So prior to physically closing the doors, it was that we would be switching to appointments only. So notifying every patient that had a job on the go or that had an appointment coming up for a contact lens fitting was notified that we were going to have the new policy of appointments in place. As that quickly changed to closing the doors altogether, it was taking that one statement, putting it on the door, putting it on our answering service, putting it on the website and Facebook and Instagram, and text messaging each patient in order to have a really clear and concise message across all platforms to know that we're here to help them, how they get in communication with us. And we have that through a text messaging service and through our email. So I now still communicate with patients on a daily basis.
That's great. That's fantastic. And that's a good point with the social media. That's a great way to keep people updated. And obviously your website and things like that, it's otherwise if folks going there don't know, it's really, I really appreciate the businesses that I do business with, even here in our little town, you go to their website, it explains what's going on at that business. So that's great. Well, so I'll head into our next question, which, is a sensitive subject. And you saw our research, that a lot of folks have had to lay off or furlough employees. And those decisions are difficult. I know that the new legislation does provide some support for businesses in the form of low interest loans to cover payroll. I believe it's for like 10 weeks, things like that, that can be done. I know some small businesses are taking advantage of that. There's a lot of kind of nuances with that. So some businesses don't qualify for things like that. So I, just want to kind of go through, and I'll start with Eric this time. In terms of your staff, how have you handled that? Do you still have your staff, in place, and will you, what's the decision process for that moving forward?
Yeah, and this is a lot of praying and talking and everything like that. But what I am doing, and we're doing this pay period by pay period, and I'm paying my staff and the doctor. I have 5 staff and 2 doctors, including myself, and I'm paying them their regular hours. We're rotating hours because, like I said, we're at a skeleton crew, but I am paying everybody as if they were working full time. And because, again, they're family. Right now I'm putting my own money into the practice to keep it going, but I know we're going to recover, and then everything's going to be back to normal. But so we're taking it pay period by pay period. So, right. And we'll see, but God willing, that we're going to, because I want to, because what we've heard in that it could take 6 to 8 weeks for them to get an unemployment check. And
I have been hearing that too.
And, that could devastate people. So, and I don't want to lose them, their family.
Right.
So,
right.
So right now we're doing it at a 2-week interval, and we're going to, God willing, it'll work.
Yes. Well, and that's a great strategy. And it is kind of, you have to take it, period by period and week by week and make those decisions as things happen. And hopefully things will continue to get better. And, my curiosity is, certainly we'll all change the way that we do things, and people may be a little gun shy to kind of be in close proximity, even when we can go back. But I imagine everyone's going to need, people are going to need an eye exam, and people are going to need eyewear, and they're going to need their contacts, and they're going to need their prescription updated. So maybe it is kind of, you see them one by one, even when we do go back, but, and cleaning procedures and everything is different, but hopefully there's a rush of patients coming in to do what they need to do. Just like the hairdressers are all going to see a lot of people as soon as people can go back. So Sheena, what have you guys done, with your staff at your business?
So we made the very, very difficult decision, but immediate decision to lay off our employees, only because it was the quickest way that they could tap into employment insurance through the government. They adapted the rules for unemployment insurance. And they did that before they started to really put forth any of the small business grants and loans and subsidies. So I'm hoping that we will be able to help them recapture a larger percentage of their wages. But it was the quickest way. The day after we closed the doors, the accountant and I filled out all the necessary paperwork so that they could get started on what is a 28-day grace period prior to receiving their first check. And just made it known to all of them that if you required any payout of your vacation pay or sick day or anything like that, if you wanted to tap into that, that is available to you. Because I don't want to leave anybody, stranded without funds for 28 days. For
sure. And I imagine, what is the unemployment benefit like in Canada? Is it similar to the United States?
I'm not exactly
in terms of how long they receive it, or
I do believe they have extended the period of time in which you can collect unemployment insurance. The minimum amount that you can collect, which I believe is about $600 per week. So I'm hoping that through things that they're putting forth, that the employees can capture a larger percentage of what they would typically earn.
Gotcha. That's great. So, and Bridgitte, how have you folks handled it at Vision Optique?
So this is what we did the week of the 17th. My young doctor, TWC regulations, as much information as she could get, and my partner and I presentations: one, take TWC unemployment benefit; two, take what I call reduced payroll option. So of our 8 team members, 2 full-time opticians chose the TWC, and we have 2 part-timers, and we have 4 full-time. The 4 full-time chose the reduced payroll, but that was under the assumption of just 2 weeks of shelter in. And this afternoon, we're going to have another team meeting and presenting the new regulations and new government benefits. We need to talk to our staff again, see what they would like to do. So what we do is we present them with fact and let them decide, because we do need our team members, at least some of them, to stay on to answer phone calls and to keep the virtual office open. Yeah, so to be decided. We will find out, because the problem is we need to make decision today, but the CARE 7A plan is you can't even apply until this Friday, and the banks doesn't have the answer either. So it's a fluid situation, but our teams, our team members know that we are here for them, and we'll make through this together.
Yes. It's everyone's staff is like a family. There's no doubt about it. So, well, on this note, in terms of financial impact, you saw our survey statistic, almost 80% said, yes, I anticipate experiencing significant financial impact from this. Now, this was also last week. I feel as though this week, and, as we receive more information and the legislation has been approved and there's support, that people are finding their footing a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see what we hear from our readers on that. But maybe if we could start with Sheena this time and just ask, what kind of financial impact do you anticipate, and, what will the future kind of hold for, at least for 2020, from a bottom line standpoint?
I think there's no doubt that there is going to be a loss in revenue. I've already taken a look at, our goals for the year and adjusted them, month to month, depending on whether or not this is going to cost 3. We really don't know. It's constantly changing. I think that there is going to be a big push and return to normalcy. So I think a lot of patients, they're not buying their glasses elsewhere. They just don't have the opportunity to purchase them. So I think that they will come back and want to kind of regain that normalcy in life and get their new glasses. On the same hand, the longer that this goes on, the tighter everyone's purse strings are going to be. And that uncertainty
Certainly.
going forward, I think will cause a lot of people on the same hand to hang on to their glasses a little bit longer. If it's not absolutely essential. So it's really hard to say which way it's going to go, and it'll probably land somewhere in the middle.
Right, for sure. And Bridgitte, what's your take on that?
I think the business loss is going to be very significant. So for us here in Houston, for my practice, because we follow the CDC recommendation immediately. So for us, it's 7 weeks of no regular business. And assuming we can actually open May 1, but we don't know that. So my partner and I have spent a lot of time studying and reading, learning about the CARES plan. So thank you, AOA, for the awesome webinar last night. If you did not attend the webinar last night, go to AOA website, look for the webinar they presented last night. So this is my afternoon, next couple of days. This is the payment protection program. Do you see how thick all the paperwork? I printed all the paperwork. So it's on the SBA website. I printed them all last night. This is what I need to do between now and Friday. And the decision is when, right? It's a double-edged sword. If you apply too early, we just don't know when we can open. But if you apply too late, I think the government will run out of money. So you just have to study your local situation. Yeah, talk to your banker, your accountant, and your labor attorney, and your team.
Right. Good advice. And Eric, how about you?
It's funny. We were having the best year ever in our business. This year started out great. And when we've seen really significant drop in the revenue. But I truly believe that once this crisis is over, and again, what both Sheena and Bridgitte were saying, patients are going to come back, and God willing, they're going to come back, and they're going to need eye care, because we've had so many people say, okay, I'm going to wait a little longer. That once it's over, once this crisis is over, and we get back to seeing patients, I think we'll recover really fast. And I'm praying, and I'm saying that we're going to end up the year level. So I really think that that's exactly how it's going to be.
Well, and I think a lot of things we've been hearing is, the economy was good. This isn't 2008 where we have to, the economy, I mean, obviously the economy is taking a major hit right now, but it wasn't an, integral kind of core problem like it was in 2008 that needed to be resolved. So hopefully, when we come back, it'll certainly be a challenge, but, people were in a different mindset when this all hit. So, and things were very strong. The economy was very strong. So hopefully that definitely helps. So I'm going to head into kind of a solutions section for this, because I know, I had another question on kind of, are you taking any approaches to counter the financial impact, of coronavirus? Any of you have anything to add beyond? I know Bridgitte talked about the CARES, and looking at the loans and talking to your banker, things like that. Is there anything else?
And the AOA, like Bridgitte was saying, the AOA really has done a good job to help us, with the different loans, and we need to take advantage of it. That's what the stimulus is for. And I think it'll help us. So, but I think we all have to do that.
Definitely. Why not, right? To take advantage and shore up your resources.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of solutions, okay, so we talked about the problem, looking at solutions. Let's talk about telehealth. And I do have a question from one of our viewers, Sal Givridge. So I'm sorry, Sal, if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but he said, thanks for the great advice from this webinar. What software are you using for telehealth? So I'll couple that question with, are you currently offering telehealth? A couple of you have mentioned it, as a solution to see patients. I just had a doxy appointment with my GP here in Colorado, and it was fantastic. I don't feel like I, want to go back to the office in the future. I just want to call him from wherever I'm at and have that appointment. It was really great. But, so let's start maybe with Bridgitte. What are you doing in terms of telehealth?
So we didn't have time to set up a HIPAA compliant proper telehealth software. We are looking at DoxyMe and Zoom Health, not the base Zoom. We do not have that set up, but because we are answering calls Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and the doctor will get on the phone with the patient. The way we set it up is $50 per consultation with the doctor, and that payment is collected and explained to the patient. So far, we have not had any problem. However, if it's a true medical emergency, for example, we've had ulcer, we've had an abrasion, we've had rule out HCV, HSV. Yesterday was a flashes and floaters. For those, we do need them at the office. If it's a medical insurance that we do take, then that's submitted through the medical insurance. If it's a medical insurance we do not take, we have 2 levels of fee set up for the patient for urgent care. So that's how we're collecting the payment. We're just doing it by traditional telephone, and a patient texts and or email us photos. And for contact lens, the system is already in place, so we are extending patients' contact lens prescription and ordering contact lens, and that's through the contact lens management and order system, which is called CLX. And the distributor we use is OGP, that's offering free direct-to-patient shipping. They started that several weeks ago. And for anything else, for example, 2 nights ago, I was on the phone with a patient from UK, from overseas. So I've been using WeChat for patients in WeChat, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever the patient's platform's on, and working with them, trying to figure out a solution.
That's great. So, and Eric, you mentioned some telehealth that you're doing as well?
Yes. For one thing, telehealth is everything right now. Now more than ever in the history of modern medicine, telehealth needs to be the central component of our practice. Not just the OD, but pretty much every medical practice. We cannot wait for things to get back to the normal because, like I've said, this is the new normal. And we still have a lot of patients to treat. So, what we're doing, and I'll have more to say on this in coming weeks, but I can say right now that I'm beta testing a company, Percept's emergency telehealth platform, and it's working extraordinarily well for the doctor and the patient. I'm really excited to have my virtual door open for patients. It is different than having a patient in the office, but I really think telehealth is here to stay, and I love what it can do because the patient, especially routine stuff like that, we can do it anytime they want, we want. And now with the new iPhones, they can be on their iPhone and, they can zoom it in, and the image that we're getting is really clear. So it is very different than in the past. And I don't think the world was quite ready for telehealth. But we have heard the word telehealth and telemedicine more in the last 2 weeks than I think we've ever had. And we as an optometrist need to embrace it, because we can evolve our practices with telehealth, still have our brick and mortar office, but have now, like Bridgitte was saying, a virtual office, and patients will embrace it. So especially, in San Diego, rush hour traffic, or LA, or, Houston, you get where, you're going to have them come back in for a 5-minute recheck that they have to drive a half hour, 45 minutes to get there. They will appreciate being able to do this through telehealth.
Most definitely. That's great. So, and what kind of platform have you used? Have you used Oxy?
No, I'm using the Percept. So it's
the Percept. Oh, right.
Yes, the Percept Emergency Telehealth, the PET, which everybody will be hearing about shortly.
We will look forward to that. Good timing on that for sure. So, you know, and Sheena, you mentioned kind of curbside pickup and, you know, kind of mail slot type of this stuff. I was just wondering if any of you are employing kind of creative ways to deliver products that people need and generate income, you know, during this time. We saw, we just ran a piece on it. There was an Instagram post that we saw that one practice was doing kind of virtual fittings and virtual eyewear pickout from just kind of on a Zoom meeting. So the client would sit and the optician would go in and kind of show them different options that they chose, you know, that would be good for them and their face shape and whatnot. And the client would pick out what they liked, and then the optician would ship them the product. And, you know, kind of like an online eyewear situation, but they would ship them the product, they'd pick out what they want, and then they ship it back, and it's with a return, you know, label that's included, and then they would make up the RX and send it back to them. So it's just an interesting kind of, you know, people are getting really creative to generate any kind of income in this time. So maybe we'll start with you, Sheena. Can you just talk about your curbside pickup? My health food store just started doing that, which I'm really online ordering and curbside pickup. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. So we are offering curbside pickup to patients who have glasses that are ready to go. And then because we have an on-site lab, we have a lot of lenses that are waiting to be mounted into frames. So that's where that mail slot comes in really handy. So patients are dropping their existing glasses through the mail slot. We are able to mount the new lenses into place and then offer curbside pickup when they're ready about an hour later. So that's been keeping us busy in the practice. Something that we've been doing for a few years now that has shown its value immensely in this situation is when patients come in and they try on glasses and they just begin the process and we narrow it down to a few that they like, we always mark them on file. And we mark them down and we take the necessary measurements so that when they're ready and they've made their decision, they go home with the photos of themselves in the glasses and they can simply send in their prescription. And we have everything we need on hand, just saved in the notes on the computer. So that has come in handy. I've had a lot of patients that have now had their eye exams done and they're sending in those prescriptions and we have all of the information that we need to complete the glasses. Which we then in turn will mail to them mounted with lenses in their prescription. And then once we open back up, they'll come in for a formal fitting. And I'm keeping a long list of who those patients are so that when we do open, they'll be first to get notification so that they can come in immediately and have that proper fitting.
That's great. So, and Bridgitte, are you folks doing that, something similar kind of with contact lenses, or how could people get the products they need?
Sheena, that's a great suggestion. We've been doing some of that, but not to that extent. That's a brilliant suggestion for when we do open. So for contact lens, what we have been doing is because the distributor is offering free shipping on all direct to patient shipping, and our contact lens management service is already synced to our EMR, so we know whose exams are coming up and who is due to order contact lens. So through CLX, we've already sent out 2 rounds of emails to the entire patient database. But what we have been doing, which the patients are super appreciative, is we're actually checking for their vision insurance coverage. And we're letting patients use their vision insurance coverage for either a 3-month on a daily disposable contact lens or 6-month monthly contact lens extension, and using their vision insurance coverage. And those contact lenses are shipped to the patient. The doctor will communicate with the patient the staff is taught to ask, are you having any vision issues? Are you having any problems? So for patients who don't have any vision issue or eye comfort issue, we are extending those prescriptions, ordering, shipping it to them, and the patients are allowed to use their vision insurance benefit. Yesterday is a very, very busy day. We had close to 40 calls, and several patients are calling to say that they're now on COBRA and they have to use their insurance up by a certain date. So we're accommodating all of those patients and trying to get things done before their insurance ends.
That's a great suggestion. These are awesome suggestions. So, and Eric, are you folks doing anything down there in San Diego?
I love these suggestions.
I know, right?
Probably one thing we're doing, and I got this from Dave Ziegler years ago, is when we do the curbside pickup, we put it in a really nice bag. We put, cleaning cloths and everything, and we put a piece of candy. But we always kind of let them know the candy's in there, so they don't just put it in the car and have it melt or anything like that. What this is all saying, and the contacts being mailed directly, that is a really nice touch. We've also said if they don't want to come by and pick them up, we charge them the post, just what the postage is, and we mail it to them. And but it's just having that where the patient knows little things that we're doing. Everybody's evolving, and these are different ideas that we're going to continue. But Sheena, I love your idea, and this is something that we pre-adjust, but we haven't been. We're going to start immediately, keeping a list of who that we're doing this, and let them know when we're open that they can come back and get them properly adjusted and fit and everything like that. So that's great ideas, both Bridgitte and Sheena.
Really wonderful.
And let me just add something. Erinn, let me just add something. So we sell a lot of ocular surface and aesthetic products. So for those products, we're offering either ship it to their homes or we arrange a curbside pickup. Mm-hmm. So that is being done as well.
Fantastic. So we're kind of tipping into our Q&A section, and I'm just going to let we'll keep going, but I'm going to let our viewers know, if you have a question, please go ahead and type it into the comments section now. We'll start to address those as we talk about a couple other topics here. We have about 12 minutes left. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and type that in. We will address it, and we'll kind of, as we start getting those in, I'm going to address one that's up here now, and then we can talk about a few other questions I had for the panelists. So we have a question from Brian Scholler. Dr. White, are we also able to serve medical professionals, broken or lost eyewear, first responders, etc., with eyewear? So, in terms of those kind of medical people that are really on the front lines, the first responders and the medical professionals, or those would be considered, someone you could help.
Yes. And, in fact, I was going to bring this up in a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up now, because one of the things that we brought into the office last week that has put my mind at ease. In fact, I'm going to show you it and I'm going to talk about it. It's called Active Skin Repair. And it's a spray that's an antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral spray. And it was brought on the market. A quick story is I have 3 boys. My oldest son, huge surfer, and this is one of his surfer buddies, is the CEO of this company. And in fact, you can even get it on Target online. But what it does, it's a spray. So every patient that walks in the door, when they leave, I literally spray them in the face, in their mouth, and on their hands. And what this does, it will protect them and us from anything they have. And this is something I have given to each of my staff. And it has given me so much comfort that if I have somebody coming on, because the biggest thing with the this COVID virus is we don't know. We truly don't know if I've had it, who has it. So this little thing, and the website is bldgactive.com. You can email them at hello@bldgactive.com. Phone number 800-277-5832. But I just feel comfortable if I'm going to have somebody come in, because my practice is open for emergencies. And I see a lot of physicians, I see a lot of first responders, but I want them to know that I'm safe. My office is clean as ever had been. I'm safe, they're safe, and my staff is safe. And this is the one thing that I when I take the dog for a walk, first thing I do when I get in the car is spray my face and my hands and all that. And, maybe it's given me a little false hope. They've done a lot of clinicals and everything like that. The company is not a new company. It's been around. It was actually for mountain bikers and all that, and surfers if they skin themselves. But it's something to consider. But, the biggest thing is, to answer the question in a very long, drawn out way, is we have to be there for our patients. And we don't know if it's a first responder has been supposed to be on quarantine. We don't know, but we can have a normal little old lady come in that has a virus. She doesn't know it yet, and infects all. We just don't know. So we have to do what we need to do to protect ourselves, but we still have to help our patients.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, we have two questions that just popped up. Randy A. Grover and Rana Iman both were asking if you could please repeat what is the name of that product and where is it sold?
Yes. You can, what I did is I brought it into my office, and it retails for $25. I paid $12.50 a bottle. The company, again, is called BLDG Active, ACTIVE.com. And the phone number is 800-277-5832. And it's just, it is something that it's just a bottle that
Eric, what's in it? What's the main ingredient? Is it hypochlorous acid?
It's very natural, a whole bunch of stuff in it. So, but it's clinically proven, natural and non-toxic.
And it's antiviral.
Antibacterial, antifungal.
So just as a side note, I went into the wine shop the other day, and the owner of the wine shop did the same thing to me. He sprayed me, but with 150 proof vodka. He had it in a little bottle, and he said, hold out your hands and let me spray you. And, he kind of got the treatment. So I think he was doing that with everyone that walked into the store.
That's very clever.
150 proof vodka. Just saying.
I wonder what the alcohol concentration is. It has to be higher than 66%.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
For the B. It's B. Someone just typed up. So Brian, thank you, Brian Schuler. They typed up bldgactive.com. So that's great to have the actual link. And then we just got a comment from Melissa McCulley. It's hypochlorous.
Yeah, it's hypochlorous acid. That's what I thought it was, the main ingredient. Okay. Or you can use Avanova. Yeah. So what we do at our office is we use Avanova by Nova Bay because it's preservative free. Yeah. And the hypochlorous acid has I can't remember, I think over 20 strand of gram-positive and gram-negative bactericidal. I think that's the right term, and 2 classes of fungus. And for the virus, it doesn't have FDA label yet, but there is several active clinical trials that are going on as we speak for Avanova's antivirus killing ability. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what we use for our patients and at our practice as well.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, Sheena, what are you folks? Sorry, go ahead, Bridgitte.
There are about half a dozen companies that sell hypochlorous acid. Actually, Erinn, for the article that's coming out in April, I have a table on all the existing hypochlorous acid over the counter that you can retail at your office. So look for my column in the April issue.
That's right.
It was for a different topic, but I have correct. I have all the ones that you can retail at the optometrist office in the table in that column. And I'll post the link to the comment after this.
Well, you sure can't, you know, I don't know about you folks, but we can't get any kind of hand sanitizer or, you know, Lysol wipes or anything here. So anything that you can offer like that to patients is tremendous. Yes. So Sheena, what are you folks doing in terms of cleaning and that kind of disinfection type of stuff? So you're using a similar product?
We are using alcohol to clean the majority of products in a very high concentration. Luckily, as opticians, we are very accustomed to handling glasses and getting very up close and personal with patients. So we've actually had a lot of these cleaning procedures in place. And I recall a couple months ago now, probably a few months ago now, I was discussing the way in which when a patient tries on a frame in our store, we set it aside in a tray before we put it back on the board so that everything is cleaned and sanitized prior to being put back into rotation. And so that's something that we've always been doing. Now, the solution we've been using obviously has to be a lot stronger than it was previously, but at least these habits are in place. And I think that may be one of the positive things that comes out of this, is that we look at cleanliness and disinfecting significantly more than we initially did in our day-to-day.
Certainly. That's great. And Bridgitte, thank you for posting that. And you are correct. That particular column is in the April issue that you're referencing. So thank you for sending the link to everyone. So, so we only have just 2 more minutes. So if anyone has any other questions, please pop those up. I'll finish with kind of 2 last questions. And thank you, Brian Schuler, for your comment here. He says, what a great job you all have done today. Thank you. And I can't thank you all enough. I mean, this is just critical information at a time when everyone's on their own island and feeling isolated and unsure what to do with their business. So it's so just incredibly valuable to have this kind of feedback. So thank you very much. So just 2 quick questions then. How are you preparing your business to reopen at this stage? You know, are you, you know, and in terms of products in your, you know, have you kind of frozen your products buying and your, you know, what you're bringing in that's new, or will you prepare some new things that are ready for when you're open? So maybe we'll start with Eric.
Okay, yeah, and what we're going to do, and I got this out of the Power Hour a couple weeks ago, or last week, that we had all the industrial heads talking, and that is we're going to have we're going to have a grand reopening. We're going to have a party, and when we get the green light to go back, we're going to let everybody know we're open for business. But one of the things, if God willing that we can open in May, one of the things that we're considering is giving everybody a free Optimap. Every exam that comes in May gets a free Optimap, you know, or some, you know, something to incentivize them to come in, and that we know that we're back. Make it a party.
That's a great idea.
Truly a grand reopening, because, you know, we've been closed, so we're reopening. Let's make it a party.
That is a great idea. A socially distanced party.
Yes. Yeah. One person at a time.
One person at a time. Yes, and Sheena, what are you folks planning or kind of thinking at this stage?
We are, I'm still very much working behind the scenes to maintain the momentum of things. Obviously, without V and without having your reps coming in and showing you new products, selecting frames is different than it typically is. That being said, this is a really good opportunity to reach out to frame brands, because they too want to do business and make sales. And it's an opportunity to negotiate really good financing terms and very good promotions in order to kind of utilize the sales that they would typically have at V and then some, so that when you reopen your doors, you do have new product available and you can really excite patients to come in and see what's new.
That's a great idea. And I think we dropped Bridgitte off here a little bit. So if she comes back in, I'll pop her back in. And we may get cut off here when we reach our 11 o'clock cutoff. But the last question is, and maybe we'll start with Eric, what do you think the future looks like here? And can we feel hopeful?
The first thing I want to say is everybody needs to take a deep breath and, pray. God is in control. My faith is strong and I know we're going to be okay. And I truly believe telemedicine is going to be the future. But the biggest thing to remember is optometry and our profession and our two countries are very solid. We had a great economy. We're going to bounce back. We're going to bounce back better than ever. The new norm is not going to be the same, but we'll be okay. And everybody has to realize everything is going to be okay. Just put God in control.
That's good. Safe advice, Eric, and thank you for that. And Sheena, what are you, feeling like? What we will see here? What's the future hold for us? And here comes Bridgitte back too.
I don't know what the future is going to hold. This is obviously a situation that has no roadmap. But I think it's an opportunity for us to connect with our patients and our community. We have great relationships, close relationships with our patients, and I think they're really going to want to come back and see us. But we can learn so much from this situation going forward, and we can also use this time so wisely. There are amazing opportunities to do lots of CE that can't work on a car when it's moving. So this is a very unique opportunity where each of us have the time and energy to tackle that to-do list and work on things that we've always had, in the back of our mind. Now we have the time to do it. There is no excuse. You have all the time in the world now.
Amen.
That's for sure. So, and Bridgitte, we were just going around asking folks, what do you think the future? I mean, obviously, we don't know what the immediate future holds and when we can reopen and how that will, how that will go down. But, kind of, what do you think the future of eye care will look like in the wake of all of this, and how will we change? And at this stage, can we feel hopeful, for the future in the profession?
I think the future. I think the future is great for eye care. Just think about all the MGDs, all the dry eye, all the digital eye strain. And we have millions of children are being homeschooled. Think about the increase in myopia.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Oh, I think we froze up.
But it is so true. This is we're going to evolve into a whole different arena with all the homeschoolers and everything. So it's going to be very interesting.
You know what? You're so right. It's a great point. Thank you for coming back.
I don't know. It keeps stopping me. Everything.
Yes, probably because probably because we went over our allotted time, but they're letting us kind of, well, at least our scheduled time. But
so I'm just going to add one sentence. We've created a COVID-19 combating COVID-19 album on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll just say my last recommendation: lead from faith and facts, not from fear.
Amen. Yes.
That is a very good advice. And I think there is a lot of fear out there. And I think the, facts and the faith are definitely a good, very, very good advice. So, well, thank you all for joining us so much. We've gone for a couple of minutes over here, and I appreciate all the time that you all have provided and the information is invaluable. And we had one more. Randy Grover just popped up again. What's the name of the spray? Before so Bridgitte, can you say what you were using, and then Eric, what were you using?
I'm using Avanova by Nova Bay, but there's several hypochlorous acid on the market. I'll post the link once I get it from Erinn for the April column.
That would be great. And then Eric, the one you were recommending is
it's bldgactive.com.
So B as in boy, L as in Larry, D as in Dave, G as in Grover.
Yes.
Active.com.
Active.com. Building.com. bldgactive.com. Thank you, Erinn.
Great.
Thank you for setting this up. And Bridgitte and Sheena, it was a pleasure of being on the panel with you. This was good. I got some really good ideas and good notes. So thank you for doing this. And we're going to survive. It's in God's hands, everybody. Deep breath.
Okay.
And
deep
download
breath.
the paperwork. Study it. Download it. Talk to your banker and accountant and your team.
Thank you. And we will be back here next week at noon Eastern Standard Time again. And we have a fantastic speaker that I am going to be interviewing, Brian Bolio. He is the CEO of ITR Economics. He does an outlook for eye care professionals, an economic outlook every year in eye care business. And also he speaks at the Vision Council Executive Summit every year on the economic outlook. And boy, is there a good time, better time than ever to understand the economics of right now and what we're looking at in the future. So we'll be here with Brian. I'll be here with Brian next week from 12 to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please join us then. And thank you again so much from Eye Care Business and from our whole team. And we wish you all the best. Hang in there and
stay healthy.
Industry and stay healthy.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.